680's business editor Richard Southern joins us now. And Richard, ride-hailing service Lyft, we heard today it launched in the city. And even though the company is much smaller, it's actually in much better financial shape than Uber.
Yeah, it may be, Francis. Of course, both those ride-sharing services are private companies, but there's been a lot of reporting on exactly how much money they may be making or losing. But yeah, Lyft is much smaller than Uber. Lyft operating now in just two countries, the United States and now Canada, as we look at the first ride happening here in Toronto earlier today. And Lyft has given 500 million rides, whereas Uber operates in 77 countries and has given 5 billion rides. But by all accounts, Lyft might be in a better financial position. Uber reportedly lost $1.5 billion just in the last 3 months alone, while Lyft has reportedly tripled its revenue so far in 2017. And I think, Francis, it's safe to say Lyft has benefited from some of the missteps that Uber has made. They might have a better connotation among riders, a better feel. We'll see what happens. The prices are pretty much the same from a consumer's perspective, and the Uber drivers I've talked to, they say they'll just download the Lyft app, and whichever one they get an order on first, they'll go to.
Free market, absolutely. Now, I do recall that Uber had a data breach a little while ago, and now we're learning how many Canadians were actually affected.
Yeah, speaking of missteps, this was certainly a big one, and we now know that Uber Canada is informing us that 815,000 Canadian Uber riders and drivers may have been part of this data breach, which was announced back in November, which included names, email address, and phone numbers. It didn't include any location data or financial information. And the Federal Privacy Commissioner here in Canada now investigating this matter, Francis.
So it was a good day on Bay Street. The TSX closing just shy of an all-time high.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to do it. In the end, it was up 10 points, very close to a record high. Things have looked a lot better for Bay Street since September. The TSX now up more than 5% on the year. We saw fresh records for the Dow and the S&P 500 on Wall Street amid optimism for U.S. tax reform. The price of oil at its best level in about 2 years. By the way, price of gas going up a penny here in Toronto tonight. So stocks are looking pretty good here as we move towards the end of the year, Francis.
Do you do a lot of takeout, Richard?
I'm afraid to say I do, Francis.
You do?
Yeah. It's just more of a convenience thing, you know?
It is. Especially for dinner, right? And for us, it's a Friday or a Saturday. But new study is looking at how much we're actually spending over a lifetime.
Yeah, you ever thought, well, if I did the math, how much is this going to be at the end of the day? Well, according to this new study, we spent $70,000 on takeout food over the course of our lifetime. 82% say they order it about every 2 weeks, spending about $100 a month, a little bit more than $1,100 every year. So you add it up, 70 grand over the course of your lifetime. 47% feel they spend too much. And do you ever get the regret, Francis? 52% say they feel downright guilty after that Uber Eats order, maybe. Why do we do it? 44% just have that craving. 37% a little bit lazy, and 26% say they just had no time at the end of the day. And time crunch, certainly 4 in 10. Little or no time there. So it's just a convenience thing. It's easier than ever now, Francis, to order in. And that's why we're actually seeing business at restaurants trailing off, while we see the ordering in part of the business doing very well.
I do have to say that I brown bagged my lunch.
That's good. You actually save a lot of money over the course of your day. And you're right next to the Eaton Center, so it's good that you do that, because you could be in the food court.
There's a plethora of food around me, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Now, this is entirely a really bizarre food trend. So the market for very old chocolate and cake is actually booming.
So I want to show you, this is a picture. This is a box of chocolates, Francis. This was made in 1910 by Cadbury in England.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be Little Red Riding Hood and some characters. That's a very old piece of cake. In fact, that's a 70-year-old piece of wedding cake from when Queen Elizabeth II married her husband, Prince Philip. So that cake sold for $2,000 Canadian. I know. And that old box of chocolates we were looking at, expected to sell for maybe upwards of $1,000 when it hits the auction block next week. It's one of those weird investments that people are looking more at, kind of a conversation.
An investment? Yeah.
Remember on Seinfeld, Elaine had the old wedding cake. She ended up eating it. Don't recommend you eat those things, but hey, they might make you some money.
And the chocolate looked a little scary, I have to say.
Yeah, stay away from that. Don't eat it. Just look at it.
All right. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks.